Welcome to all. In this video we will see the features of Linux operating system. In the previous video I have uploaded some concepts of Linux operating system as well as its history and some information about kernel, but here we will see what are the actual features of Linux operating system. There are many features when we talk about operating system, and when we compare the operating system with the rest of the or other flavors of the operating system available in the world. Definitely Linux will be having its own features as well as importance. I can say its own versions will be there, its own types will be there, and there are major positive points which we can list out with respect to Linux operating system. So let us see one by one. The first one is free and inexpensive. They say that free and inexpensive. That means for installing or for downloading Linux, any flavors, almost any flavors of operating system, it will be available for free, and you are going to get the ISO file from the internet, and you can directly download it from the internet. You can install the operating system in your PC or desktop. It may be anything. So that is the reason why we say it is free. So you don't need to pay anything to that particular operating system. You probably know that for Windows, if you are going for genuine Windows or paid Windows, then it may cost around 4 to 5 Ks. Okay, 4,000 to 5,000 rupees. So but in case of Linux operating system, you don't have this much issues. Directly you can download it and you can install the Linux operating system and you can work on it. So that is the thing. Then inexpensive, that is the reason why they say. And you have the concept called GPL, general public license. Okay, because of that they provide so many softwares, it may be, or so many operating flavors of operating system to the internet, so that you can download it from the internet and you can install and you can start using it. The second thing is stable and flexible. So almost all Linux operating systems are stable. You don't need to worry about the stability of the system. It won't, you may not see any lags, or you may not see any frequent crashes. I can say like that, because in some cases you might have seen some of the operating system, the flavors of some other operating systems which are available may get crashed. Okay, you would have seen some error messages popping out, and you may be seeing that unexpectedly you are going to restart the system or shut down the system. There are so many different kind of issues which you can see from if you're using some other operating system apart from Linux. So you may be experiencing it, but when it comes to Linux flavors, very rarely you can see such kind of issues. So that is the reason why I say it is stable and flexible. The third one is fast and reliable. Obviously Linux operating systems are very fast, and in case of reliability also, it is highly reliable also, because when you say that it is fast, indeed it will be fast compared to rest of the operating system, because of its simplicity, or the usage of resources, or efficient usage of resources, and the code those who have written, or it is something like, as it is an open source operating system, Linux, almost all the flavors are open source. So that is the reason why if there are any issues, definitely the community or the developer community, I can say, or those who are contributing their own algorithms or codes to that particular operating system, will definitely boost its speed. So that is the reason why it is fast and reliable, and you don't see much issues with respect to Linux operating system. The fourth one is easier to use. Definitely, indeed, it is a easier to use operating system. You might have used Ubuntu. Almost most of the institutions, or almost all the computers laboratories will install Ubuntu itself. They don't go for any other flavors of Linux flavors, but you would have used also. So the graphical user interface will be very easy. But if you are very new to Linux, definitely you may find somewhat difficulty to understand the terminologies, because you see in Windows, if I consider, then if you want to go to if you want to create some Word documents or PPT, definitely you go for MS Office, isn't it? Microsoft Office flavor. There are my MS Word, MS PowerPoint, so such kind of softwares will be there, isn't it? Excel sheet, for Excel sheet also MS will be having its own tools. But when it comes for Linux, you don't have the concept of MS. They have LibreOffice. Okay, the separate concept, separate tool will be there for creating its own documents. So if you are very new, then definitely you may take some more time to understand the concept. Otherwise it will be very easy. Okay, rest of the operating system whatever available, the Linux will be very easy to use. That is the reason why I say it is easier to use. And the next point is a robust programming and application environment. So it supports, definitely it supports the programming. There are so many packages available using which you can run almost all kind of programming languages which are available. And it may be application also. You will have so many applications which are supporting Linux. So if you install Wine, there is one application called, or platform called Wine, from which you can run the Windows applications also using in Linux platform. You can run Windows application also, but there should be some middleman, isn't it? Because the code, or the see in Windows you have executable files, exe files, .exe extension files, but you may not run that exe file in Linux platform. That is the reason why you need something called Wine. It is like a middleman. Okay, so it will convert, or it will give the platform so that you can run the exe files on Linux operating system. That is the reason why, and that is the main reason why we say Linux are virus free. Usually Linux won't get attacked by virus, because almost all virus, or almost the developers, those who are trying to write the virus programs, usually it will be in auto run, or exe files, .exe extension. As Linux will not support it will directly don't support exe files. That is the reason why easily virus softwares or virus programs cannot install, by default cannot install in Linux, and it cannot run in Linux easily. So that is the reason why I say, I'm not saying that you cannot create the virus for Linux. You can write scripting. There you can go for some scriptings, but the security provided by the Linux platform is very high. And for each and every installation, for each and every updating, for everything, using command line, or outside the it may be outside, using browser, or from internet you may download some programs. But ultimately, to install something in Linux, you need password. So without the confirmation of the authenticated user, it won't execute, or it won't install any programs in the system. So that is the reason why the security will be more. Comparatively, it is more compared to the rest of the operating system available. Okay, the next thing is built-in networking ability and easy access to the internet. Definitely, as you are using the internet, as well as networking ability in Windows or in other operating systems, in the same fashion Linux also provides that. So if you have the Linux operating system, you can easily, using some browsers, you can easily surf the internet, and you can browse the content, or you can download the files whatever you require. The next thing is increased returns. So this is with respect to a business perspective or company perspective. Okay, so you have two terminology called ROI and TCO. So return on investment, as well as total cost of ownership. So when you install, say for example, you have your own company, you want, say there are 20 employees in your company. Imagine like this. Okay, so when you have 20 employees, it is your duty, usually it will be the company's duty, to provide the resources to those employees, so that their work can be done. Okay, that is the one thing. So that is the reason why we say that it is to install some operating system, if it is not free, then they have to pay the money, isn't it? The company has to pay the money for each and every operating system which will be installing in any particular computers. Okay, but when you use a Linux operating system, it will be easy, it will be free, isn't it? So the total cost will be reduced, isn't it? Overall cost will be reduced. That is the one thing. The second thing is return on investment. That means whatever the investment you put from the business perspective, equal amount of returns will be there, because as the operating system is free, you don't need to pay much. Say for example, I'm giving one simple example. So if you are going for some operating system which are paid, say for example, for one installation it requires 5,000, means for 20 computers you can calculate the actual amount, isn't it? So it is in terms of lakhs, isn't it? It may go up to lakhs. So you can save that money when you go for Linux operating system. That is the thing they say here. Next, multi-user and multitasking ability. So as the rest of the operating system supports this, even Linux supports the same thing. So multi-user can be using that particular system, and tasking will be also, multitasking ability can be achieved using Linux platform. Next thing is entertaining and educative. Definitely it supports all the movies, all the audio or video content, or if you go for graphics it is supporting, or if you are going for any educative as well as entertaining. So it may be for video editing or movie making, anything, it may be anything. All the softwares are available for Linux also. You can make use of Linux operating system for all the entertaining purpose as well as educative purpose. That is the thing they say. It is one of the feature available in Linux. So now last one is readily available help. That means, so there is a concept called man page. Okay, in Linux you have the concept called man page. That means manual. It is nothing but a manual that is mainly for commands. So if you have in Linux, you have n number of commands for each and everything. So the main motive of this particular operating system is, without using the cursor or without using your touchpad or mouse, can you work on Linux or can you work on a particular system? So to work on that, you require commands, isn't it? Using commands you can perform almost all the tasks. That is a main thing. Okay, now to use the commands, you should know what is the meaning of that command. Say for example, there is one command called ls. Okay, so ls command can be used to list all the files and directories which are present in one particular folder. Okay, that is the thing. So if you don't know anything about ls, then how can you work on it, or whatever the options you put, how can you work on it, isn't it? So that is the reason why you require some help. Manual help is required to work on any command. Okay, so that is the reason why separate help will be available for this Linux. So each and every work, whatever the work you do on that particular Linux platform, each and every information will be readily available, and you can make use of those information, and you can work on Linux if you are very new or if you don't know the concept. Because as a human being, we cannot remember all the commands which are available, isn't it? See, for networking they have n number of commands, for file management they have n number of commands, for password protection and changing the ownership, or creating the directory, deleting the directory, creating the files, deleting the files, and moving from one directory to another directory, or removing something or copying something. For each and every operations there will be separate commands. So remembering all the commands, it's not easy. I'm not saying it is impossible, it is not easy. So if you are getting if you forget some particular commands, using this manual help or pages or help which are readily available in the system, you can make use of it, isn't it? You can read it and you can work on appropriate commands for your task. That is the thing. So that is also one of the feature available in Linux. And there are some of the Linux separate I have listed out some of the points, but if you want you can take it. I will share this slide. This is not available in the textbook. That for your reference I have gone. So portable, open source, and portable is nothing but you can as you can download it from the internet, you can use it for for your work, isn't it? That is the thing. Next, open source, obviously I said. Multi-user I already explained. So these are the some of the points which you have to remember. Okay, I will share this slide, don't worry, but it is not available in the textbook. Just I have taken from the internet just for your knowledge. I'm not saying that you have to buy it or you have to learn, but it will be good if you know some of the features of Linux. It will be efficient. Okay, now the next thing is Linux distribution introduction and overview. So there are some distributions of Linux. What are the kind of Linux distributions available? You should know this. Okay, so as they say, there are more than 300 distributions of Linux. Okay, it is not one two. Say when we compare Mac, or when we see Windows, we have some limited number of distributions, isn't it, or the flavors or versions of Windows. But when it comes for Linux, so as it is widely used, and as it is a open source, it is like some community will start coding and they create their own distribution, and some of the companies may start their own distribution and they can roll out that distribution to the internet. So that is the reason why there are more than 300. It is not just 300, more than 300 distributions are available in the internet, so that you can make use of those flavors of operating system. Next, we say that mainly there are two types. One is paid and another free. So I said, when I started explanation, I said almost all operating system flavors are free. I'm not saying all. It is not like almost all. That means there are some flavors of Linux operating system which can be paid and which has to be paid for say for your commercial purpose, for your business environment. But for enhanced security, or for taking up more care with respect to the files or privacy, then you have to pay some money to that particular operating system, like Red Hat. Okay, so our Red Hat, it is one of the operating system which has to be paid. You have to pay some money to them. So free versions, that is a light version, free versions, or cracked versions, that is a separate part of story. But there are very few operating system which you can pay and you can get the almost all benefit from those operating systems. That is the thing. Next, for free distributions, there are Debian flavor or Fedora. There are so many. For free, there are n number of. But when you talk about paid, so there are some operating systems which are taking money from the people. Okay, the next thing is there are classifications or versions, we can say, desktop version and server version. Okay, the desktop version is nothing but as usual. So if you have the laptop or if you have the desktop, you are going to install the operating system and you can make use of it for your own benefits. But when it comes for server version, so it is mainly that such kind of operating system will be mainly installed in servers, so that for the better service. Okay, say almost 95% of the servers are running under Linux itself. They don't go for other, because of the security, because of its reliability, fastness, and robustness, trustability. There are so many aspects. Okay, so most of the servers are running under Linux itself. Okay, so that is the thing you have to remember. So these are the two versions which are available for Linux distribution. Next, crashing and system failures are very rare in Linux. That is the reason why I said no, while explaining about the features of Linux, I said very rarely you can see the crashing of the system or system failures. Okay, popping out some errors or some such kind of concepts cannot be seen in Linux. That is the thing. Next, RPM based Linux distribution. So this is somewhat different. Okay, so it is something like, so when you actually use a particular Linux, then only you are going to get to know that what is the actual difference between paid or free, or what is the actual difference between desktop version or server version, what is yum, what is RPM, and what is just sudo. So there are some differences while using the Linux itself. You are going to get to know these are the actually theoretical concept. Okay, whenever time permits, definitely I will show you the actual difference. Okay, if the college starts, definitely if you have the laptop, you can bring that laptop to the class. So in one laptop we can try to install some paid cracked OSs if it is available. Otherwise we can go for some free versions also. We can go for Red Hat or Fedora, Deepin, or you can go for Ubuntu also. There are so many operating systems which are available under Linux platform. Okay, so Red Hat Linux and SUSE Linux were the original major distributions that use the RPM file format, which is today used in several package management system. Okay, so this is one, actually this is one of the file format which we are dealing now. And in package management also it is available. Packages are nothing but see, in Windows you go for rar files, isn't it? So zip files or WinRAR, you would have seen that kind of concept. But in Linux we have something called packages. So it's same, both are actually almost the same. We don't have any major differences, but the terminology differs. Okay, from one platform to another platform, terminology differs. But Red Hat and SUSE Linux will mainly use RPM based concepts. Next, Red Hat created the RPM package format for the use of its distribution. Popular RPM based distribution includes, so some of the popular distributions which are called, which are Red Hat, RHEL Enterprise Linux, that is one. Next, CentOS, we have Fedora. So there are some operating system which are different types of operating system we have listed out here. So that is the one thing. So I will upload this PPT to that Google Classroom. Whenever you want you can download it, but if you go for the textbook, that is well and good. Okay, so I am listing out some points for my reference so that I can explain it betterly. But if you are going for in depth, if you are going and if you are going for the examination, it is better you refer the textbook. Both are same, you don't have any major difference actually. But I am going for smaller concepts, so that while explaining itself it take more time and it will become more big video. So that is the reason why I am doing this. So you can refer this PPT or you can go for textbook, that is well and good. Referring the textbook is well and good. Okay, so I already said which textbook to refer in library. It will be available definitely, but I did not get the soft copy of this Linux textbook, so I will try to get it. If I don't get, then it is better you get the copy of you can get the hard copy of textbook, so it will be very easy. Fine. Now there are some concepts we have to see. Fedora, for Fedora is the upstream of the commercial Red Hat Enterprises Linux distribution, or RHEL we say it is in short. Okay, what makes the Fedora special is it uses newer technology and packages from the open source world than RHEL. So Fedora will be more comparatively more good because it is going for it is used for commercial purpose, as well as it will take some free or open source code from the outside also. So it will be more stronger compared to rest of the thing. Now you may ask, what you mean by Fedora, sir? See, as you are using Ubuntu as Windows 7, 8 or Windows 10, in the same fashion Fedora also one operating system. It is a flavor, it's a Linux operating system, I can say like that. Okay, so say in Fedora you go for yum package manager. It is not RPM, YUM. It is yum. Okay, so it is something like yum install VLC, or some commands like, say, for Ubuntu, how you download VLC. VLC is a video player, isn't it? Video audio player. It is mainly for multimedia player, I can say like that. Fine. VLC, I'm pretty sure that most of you are familiar with this software application, isn't it? VLC. So if you have Ubuntu, how to download a VLC using command? There should be some active internet connection to your system. So you can go for sudo space install. Okay, in between sudo and install you need to get one folder where you can install all the things. That is nothing but apt-get. You can go for apt-get, or you can just go for apt. So sudo apt install space VLC. So this is the command. Using this command you can install VLC from the internet, and with the safer side actually, so you don't get any viruses if you are downloading using command line. And you can provide your password and it will be installed, and it will be downloaded, it will be installed, and it will be ready to use, something like that. But it is for Ubuntu. But when you come for Fedora, you have to use yum package. It is a package manager. Yum is a package manager, so you have to go for yum install some softwares, VLC or any media player, something like that. So that is the difference. Next, for OpenSUSE started out a German translation of Slackware Linux. Okay, that is one flavor. Okay, next, but eventually grew into its own distribution. So OpenSUSE first it will be it was with the Slackware Linux, one version of Linux. Then it went for standalone thing. Okay, they have gone for their own distribution, they started their own development, and they made their own operating system and they rolled out to the public. Okay, so it is known for KDE desktop. Okay, it is a KDE is one of the desktop, and it is stable also. Fine. For package management, OpenSUSE uses Zyper and its graphical front end and Jest software center. So it will be having its own. See, when we talk about the operating system or different types of operating system, it will be having its own package management, and it will be having its own software centers. It is something like, say, for Apple. I don't know how many of you are using Apple phones. So they have their own app store, isn't it? For Windows, for Android, you have Play Store. For Windows phones, they have their own Microsoft stores. So that is a difference. It is in terms of your mobile phones or smartphones. But when it comes for laptop, for desktop, or for any PCs, they will be having their own operating system and separate centers. So for Ubuntu will be having Ubuntu center, that is a separate app store from where you can go download your own applications and you can install it in your system. So each and every operating system will be having its own center. That is the main thing. So these are the two main operating system which I just downloaded. Now you have one more concept called Deb based distribution, Debian. Okay, so Debian is a free operating system for your computer. An operating system is the set of basic programs and utilities that makes your computer run. So basic information. Debian is a free operating system. It is a flavor. It is actual operating system from which this rest of the operating system have derived. So it is something like Ubuntu is also a Debian operating system. It is running under a Debian. It is the main flavor is Debian, something like that. Okay, an operating system is the set of basic programs and utilities that make your computer run, or the same concept. At the core of an operating system is the kernel. I have already said while explaining the kernel, it is a core, it is a basic thing, and almost all kernel programs are written using C. So in the previous video, I have already said the kernel is the most fundamental program on the computer and does all the basic housekeeping and lets you start other programs. So without kernel, you cannot imagine any working of your system. That is the reason why I say it is the core. Okay, now there are some of the Debian based OS are available, something like Backtrack or G Linux or Kali Linux or Parsix, Pure OS, Astra Linux. So there are n number of Debian flavors, but I listed out some for your reference. Ubuntu also come under Deb based OS itself or Debian based OS itself. Okay, it may be Deepin also. Zorin, you have some operating system called Zorin. You have CentOS. You have Puppy Linux. Okay, so there are many operating system, out of which I have listed out some of them. Okay, so this much is enough for this video. So you can figure out all these concepts. You can go to internet. If you want to try your own operating system, you can install ISO file from the internet and you can try to install, but make sure that you don't lose your files. It is somewhat tricky if you are not if you are very new to installation of the computer system or the operating system, then wait for it. When college starts, I will show you how to install. Okay, so it is a somewhat tricky thing, because if you make some mistakes, all the files which are available in the system may go. You may not even recover it back. There is a one possibility where you may not recover the entire file system itself. Then it will be a very problem. Okay, you may lose your files, or photos, videos, or any resume, or it may be anything. You may be losing it. So don't do that. If you are very new, don't try to do that. But if you are familiar with the installation of a Linux operating system, or if you are familiar with dual booting or multi booting, then you can try some new flavors of operating system for your work. Okay, so let me wind up the video here. Rest of the concept we will deal in the next video. Okay, yes, thanks for watching.